To invite our next speakers, who I can't actually... Oh, yes, I can. There they are. Sara Maria Legaup Veski and Eva Maria Fjellheim are going to talk to us about their very specific struggles and fights and the relationship between them. So please give a very warm welcome to both of them.
Hello, Börje Bieja Ekstones. Mun numele Eva Maria Fjellheim, man orgelsäppmesterbåtam. Good afternoon to everyone. My name is Eva Maria Fjellheim, and I'm here with Sara Maria Legaup Veski, and we're going to have this talk, this presentation together, but also we want to begin introducing ourselves and our work first. So I come from the South Sami area, which is actually not so far from here. It's only 5 hours north drive from Oslo. And I'm going to speak to you about this project that I'm working on now called In the Footsteps of Elsa Laula, which is a radio documentary project with Sami women speaking about 100 years of rights struggles in Sápmi. So in this project, we are all women actually, both as producers and the ones we listen to. The co-producers are also here in the audience today. I want to acknowledge also their participation in the project, Astrid and Ingrid Fadnes and Susanne Norman sitting there on my left, so you can also talk to them later about the project. And we have worked together with this independent, non-commercial feminist radio station called Radio Rakel, which is based here in Oslo. And in this project, Sami women are the protagonists, and they own their own stories. Our role is to contribute to share them and to increase the knowledge of the role of Sami women in history and today, and also to contribute to a discussion about Norway as a colonial state and whose politics still carry out this colonial heritage through existing structures. So why listen to women, and why listen to Sami women in particular? It might be obvious for many, but what do we really know about Sami women's participation in important historical processes for change? Our project is inspired by an important celebration that we, as the Sami people, celebrated last year. It was the 100-year anniversary of the first national Sami political meeting in Trondheim, the city of Trondheim, in 1917. A meeting where issues related to Sami rights and the state's violation of the same rights were discussed. And Elsa Laula, the woman that this project is inspired by and named after, she was an important protagonist in this meeting 100 years ago. So finally we were exposed to this Sami political and feminist icon. But Elsa Laula, she's not one, she is many. So we wanted to look at the Sami society today. Who are the Sami women and how do they reflect on this 100 years of rights struggle since this historical meeting? And what is our situation today? And how are they working to maintain and strengthen our Sami heritage? So we have talked to 22 different women in Sápmi, from the age of 19 to 83, women who in very different ways engage and contribute to the Sami rights struggle. And now I'm going to play a short part of one of the chapters from this documentary that we have named Let the Mountains Live. So it fits very well with the title of this exposition, Let the River Flow. And the language is in Norwegian, but I want you to listen even though you can't understand, and I will give you a short translation after.
Vi har jo, sånn som jeg startet med, gjort mange framsteg, sånn politisk sett. Det som man ikke har lyktes med, det er retten til land og vann. Det er retten til de ressursene som vi har. Og det er egentlig retten til de rikdommene som hele nord, som preger hele nord. At nord, uansett det Sápmi eller altså nordlige, Nord-Norge, Nord-Sverige, Nord-Finland, de blir eksploaterte av sentrale aktører, enten i sør eller utenlandske. Og de får tilganger og de får konsesjoner, og det bestemmes da på myndighetsnivå, altså på høyeste politiske nivå.
Det er en kald og klar høstdag i september 2017. Vi er på Kalvåa bygdetun, like ved Selbu i Sør-Trøndelag. Det lille tunet, som er omkranset av en fargerik skog, har nå blitt forvandlet til en aksjonsplass. Høyttalere er montert opp foran et lite amfi, og det ryker fra stekte regnburgere på grillen. Et stort banner monteres opp bak mikrofonstativet. Ba i væride orrot. La fjella leve, står det. I dag er folk samlet for å vise sin støtte til fjellet, der hvor rein kan beite, kalve og ferdes fritt.
Da skal Unni Fjellheim se noen ting. Leder i Gåbrensite og Riasten reinbeitedistrikt. Vær så god.
Ja, jeg har jo sagt en liten strofe før, men jeg har samlet meg og summet meg litt, for det er en krevende situasjon å stå i den situasjonen at vi nå er nødt til å forsvare fjellene. Det er sagt veldig mye støttende gode ord her i dag. Jeg vil slutte meg til det. Jeg er glad for at jeg har vært på 2 befaringer her i området. Førsten i 2014 og den andre i 2016. Slik kan man møte folk. Man møter dem som vil ha vindmøller, og man møter dem som ikke vil ha vindmøller.
Moderjord lar seg ikke utvide. Så det som blir tatt, det blir tapt. Så vi snakker ikke bare om tapt språk, samisken, som er bygd i omkring reindrifta, eller rein, og naturen som det elementet vi lever i, og er gjensidig avhengig av hverandre, dyret, rein og samene. Så det her er viktig å komme ut med kunnskap til folket, fordi at hvis noen ting går tapt, så skal folk vite hva som faktisk går tapt. Og vi har ikke bare rettigheter, vi har plikter. Vi har plikter til å ta videre denne kunnskapen her. Kan kalle det immateriell kunnskap og kulturarv. Jeg vil like å si det at vi spinner scener på samme viset som de gjorde det for flere tusen år siden. Det er en måte å gjøre det på, det går ikke an å lage den teknologisk.
So first we heard Asta Balto. She's a 70-year-old retired professor, former rector at the Sami University College, and a Sami activist. And she participated in the Alta Kautokeino struggle, and also talk about the development of Sami rights since then. And she says, "We have achieved many things politically. Where we have not succeeded is to protect our rights to land and water. Our lands are being exploited by external companies, and the permission is granted by the government." Then we listen to Unni Fjellheim, a 50-year-old reindeer herder and a leader of the reindeer herding community guardianship in South Sami area, where a demonstration against a windmill farm in the area where the reindeer have their calves. This is also my family's reindeer herding area, and it's just a 5-hour drive north of Oslo. She says, "Mother Earth cannot be expanded. What is taken from us is lost. Not only our Sami language, which is embedded in our livelihoods and the nature where we, the Sami, and the animals are mutually dependent on each other. It is crucial to share our knowledge. So if our land is taken from us, people should know what we lose with it. It is not only our right, but it is our duty to continue to share the knowledge of our culture and heritage. I used to say, we make thread out of the reindeer sinew, exactly as they did it 1,000 years ago. We cannot do it technologically." So in this chapter, we also meet a 19-year-old, our youngest participant in the project, Ella Marie Hetta Isaksen, a Sami and environmental activist fighting against a mine located in the northernmost part of Norway, of Sápmi. So in this chapter, we are talking to 3 generations of women. And what they have in common is that they are struggling, fighting for the right to protect the traditional lands and the right to practice a livelihood and culture with an ancient history. So the Sami livelihoods are increasingly being threatened by industrial developments, such as mining, hydropower, wind power, industrial fishery, the building of roads, cabins, and the list goes on and on. It is land we cannot afford to lose, and I want to end again my introduction by repeating the words of Unni, who says, "Mother Earth cannot be expanded."
Aulukihtu mun ammalle Sara Marielle mun kolan kuitenkin nuija rifteki ahchaner kuitenkin sen rohkier riftekis ja mun pajashattan kuitenkin luudin tuujin saamikielin ja mun aika jo fomasan että musta otsvastatus kähtselit Good evening, everyone. My name is Sara Marielle, and I'm from the northern part of Sápmi. My dad from Gaudegaitnu and my mom from Riftat, a little bit more south, and she didn't learn Sami language. She didn't even know that she was a Sami until she was an adult. But I grew up in Gaudegaitnu, and following my mom's journey to take back the language or to learn her culture since I was born. And then early I saw I felt the responsibility to maintain the culture, to maintain the language and do whatever I can. So a little bit about me is that most people know that I am a joiki, meaning a joiker or an artist. I also sing, and I travel the world, and I'm so happy to have a work like that I can travel and meet people and share my tradition. But first of all, I am a mother, and I am a wife, and I'm a Sami woman. And Eva is talking about the Sami strong women, and she is also one of them herself. And I am very happy to see that more and more Samis are getting stronger and speaking up. But we couldn't have done it without the ones that did it before us. Also the ones that started the whole thing using arts and music and yeah, in this fight. And so Maria Iloneida is one of them. So I really want to thank her and her generation for the work they did. We couldn't have been here without them. And also for talking about Sami spirituality. You know, that is really a taboo thing inside of Sami. That's a thing that outside people often ask about. But inside, in our own society and among ourselves, we don't talk much about that. It's because it was taken away, because it was forbidden by law, because, yeah, we lost a lot of it. But we really need to talk about that and also to realize that it's not gone. It is there. It is still in the stories. It's in the songs. It's in the land. It's in the people. It's in our elders. It's in our babies. So I really want to thank Mari for that work and also a lot of people that are close to her that also do that work. And I am also a doyar, meaning I'm learning Sami handicraft. And for that I want to thank Irene for her presentation. It makes it much easier for me to explain why Dochi is so important for me. It's all these things that Irene told. Dochi, the Sami handicraft. But of course Sami handicraft is so flat, it doesn't tell anything. Inside this Sami handicraft, you have the connection with the land, you have the importance of the traditional work, the traditional knowledge, and also the philosophy. One of them, really important one, is the one that you don't take more from Mother Earth than you need. You don't take more than she can give. And for the traditional salmon fishers in the valley of the Datno River, where my husband is from, they would say, if your freezer still have salmon when the new fishing season comes, it means you're greedy. You have fished too much last year. So learn from your mistakes and only fish whatever you can eat and give away to elders that don't fish themselves. So also my work as a doyar and a yoiki, I can't divide this into like that's my work and that's my life, because my work is my life. And my whole life is a journey to learn all I can learn from the ones that know. And hopefully one day I will be arbekoddi, one that carries traditional knowledge and are able to share. Together with my husband is amazing. His work is also really important, and for me every day to see that his mind works so fast in this decolonization process. So I get amazed every day by how fast he is traveling this decolonization journey, but he's very patient with me, and he's kind, and he waits and he teaches me, and together we try to teach the children, not only ours, but like other Sami children too, and also Norwegian children and other whoever we can. So I have a new project together with my little sister Ristina Nine. She recently became a mother, so she's a little busy right now, but we're getting there. And that project is the activist project of me, and my life, and it's also hand in hand with my own personal decolonization journey. And hopefully I will be able to, while I learn myself, also share with other people. I also learn from other others with a similar kind of work, and like Eva, like Mari, like, yeah, a lot of people, a lot of Samis, but also a lot of people out there in the world. I also had my period of being really frustrated and being like, feeling like giving up. But then I realized that we do still have so much knowledge that if this economy in the world breaks down, which it will, then we are able to live a good life because of our knowledge. But if nature breaks down, nobody will live. Nothing will live. No, and not the indigenous people, not anyone. So my main goal with my work is to try to remind people that if you're indigenous or if you're not, then everyone's ancestors in the past made an agreement with Mother Earth that we will love, we will respect, we will take care of the land, of the earth, and she will take care of us in return. What has happened is that we have forgotten that promise or that agreement, and we can't forget it, because then she will not be able to take care of us anymore. And for me, it's hard to understand and hard to see how is it possible that some people don't get that. And it's just very strange. And for me also that, to do nothing is also really bad, because it also, how to explain? Yeah, if you see somebody bullying someone, if you do nothing, then you're a bully yourself. If you see someone raping the earth, if you do nothing, you're doing the same. So everyone can do something. What I also try to make everyone aware of is that not only the people living off nature and in nature are affected of climate change, or that they pollute the waters, they pollute the air, the food, everything. It's also the people in the cities. So everyone should always be humble, always be thankful for Mother Earth, because she doesn't need us, really. We need her. And still, she takes care of us, even if she doesn't need us. So that's my introduction to some of the work that I do in my life. And what we are hoping for is that we can get some kind of a discussion with includes every one of you, and I really would like to hear from you that, do you have an idea what I could tell people when they ask, what can I do? What can I do in this struggle, in this fight? And I have my answers, but I really want to learn more about what can we really do.
Yeah, I think it's a very good invitation from Sara Marielle, and we have been talking about different challenges that indigenous people face in different parts of the world. We can see the similarities. We can see that we are in the same struggles, and we are experiencing increased pressure, from industries, from other interests that does not go well with the choices and the alternatives that the indigenous communities propose. So what we really need now are some strategies. What can we do? And we see that maybe the formal spaces of participation that has been offered to us, and we might be more used to influence, to use our political participation, have limited reach. So how can we create spaces outside, like many people have presented, talking about art, music, in my case using radio documentary as an alternative media to try to be an answer to the lack of presence of like in our case, Sami issues in the national medias and media coverage that is not very nuanced. So how can we create these new strategies and spaces for participation and influence? So please, if anyone wants to add something or have any comments or reflections on that, we would be happy to.
Or questions. What I used to say sometimes when they, many people would say like, but now the focus is a lot of use less plastic or recircle or don't reuse your plastic bag. And people would say to me like, but that doesn't matter, it's just one plastic bag. How can that have an impact on anything? Then I used to say that it feels like it doesn't have a big effect, but what it has an effect on is the mindset, the way of thinking, and that is powerful. If you start with the thought to bring your own cup everywhere, for example, don't use those paper cups if you can avoid it. Take your own cup. I've seen that other also in here have their own cup and would reuse their water bottle. And that, just to do that small thing will change slowly the way you think and the way other people think, and that will be the beginning to take care of Earth.
And I think that what we are doing today is also important to network and create alliances and between Indigenous peoples, but also between Indigenous and non-Indigenous people across disciplines. We can work together from different angles with our different knowledges. So I think that's something that we just have to continue to do also.
And also we have so many similarities, and one of the most important ones I've seen is that Indigenous people still have the view or the main, I don't know how to explain that. We know that we're not above nature. We're not in charge of the nature. We are a part of it. And how do we make people understand that? Because we think that when people start really understanding and really feeling that connection or really understanding that, then they won't destroy Mother Earth. They won't.
I had a question. I was wondering, when we're thinking about Dertno and the conflict in Dertno, and maybe you could mention a little bit about the secession of the island and how that has functioned, and maybe Eva, you could talk a little bit about what have been the moments of resistance in Fosen. Recently, Sara Mariella, your husband, and Nilas Holmberg were part of an action on the road towards Fosen. When these moments happen, I am wondering, how do people survive? I mean economically. If you're going to spend your time in an action, it means you're not doing other things that will lead to your livelihood. And I'm thinking about the Alta action. And what happened there is there was a lot of crowdfunding to be able to pay for the bills. For example, if you were chaining yourself to a rock, a policeman would come, take you away, and give you a fine. And this was often a big amount of money that you couldn't have. But this crowdfunding allowed for a common pool of money to be able to be there to pay for these costs. So I don't know whether you can tell us a bit about that too. How does that happen today?
So about Ellos Dertno. Dertno is the best salmon river in Scandinavia. And a lot of struggles to remaining the river healthy because of one of the things are escaped farmed fish, for example, but also the governments are a huge threat. Like now, a few years ago, they came up with this new information that now we're taking away the traditional rights of the local people and give them equal rights to the hut owners, the Finnish and Norwegian hut owners, to fish equally as the locals, meaning that there will be less space, meaning that there will be a totally different way of fishing. Like the traditional way, as I mentioned, is a different way. So that's just very short about that. And Ellustatnu is a group of people with my husband, with Asta Baltu also. Asta is one of our mentors, and we're so happy to have her. We learn so much from her. And we're people from all over Sápmi, and which is also very, I find very special, is that we don't care about that border they made. You know, that doesn't mean anything for us. We have people from all those countries, those governments that are colonizing us, and we work together. So we have this island, Kärsuolu, which is in the middle of the Datnu River. We asked the local people who live and traditionally have lived close to the island, traditionally have used the island for permission to make a camp there, a moratorio. I don't know how you say that in English, but we claim that on this island, it's like the government's rules are not in charge. They mean nothing. It's the Sami people, the local people's way of thinking, the way of living, the way of the cultural background. Everything is in charge. So we're continue working on this process, and now for this summer, last summer we lived on the island and worked a lot from there. This summer we are expanding to, we have, for example, an office that you can contact if you want to make that kind of a statement yourself on your land where you live. And it's not only for rivers, it's for mountains, it's for forests, it's for everything where you want to protect what is sacred for you. So yeah, for my husband's part, he do all this. When you ask about the money part, the money issue of this, the first thing we did to start on this work was to make our own. What is that English word? Sorry. The costs in our life, make them as low as possible, and work very hard on that. For me, it was harder than for him of course, but I've been working and I'm getting better. And one of that work is that we just started this summer. We're collecting materials to make a traditional home, meaning a turf home. And it has a lot of things. Like there's a lot of reasons why we're doing that. And for now, it's forbidden by Norwegian law. We are not allowed to live traditionally in a turf hut. Even if we are indigenous, even if we're Sami, that's our tradition, and we're living on our land, where it's forbidden by many, many, many laws. So that's one of the things that we are also fighting in our everyday life, and one way to get the costs down, and also to learn how to collect food ourselves, to learn more and more ways to find food, so we don't need to buy so much in the store. Also, that it's making the cost go down, and also that's a part of who we are and all the work that follows that, all the traditional work that follows the collecting of food. So that's just some examples.
So in the South Sami area, the last 10 or so years, the increased threat on our lands has been due to windmill production, and especially affecting reindeer herding area. And in South Sami area, reindeer herding is like the crucial fundamental base for our culture and language, and maybe more there than in other areas that have a more diverse, like traditional economic history. So we are facing all of these increased cases. One was mentioned here in the documentary, which is in my family's reindeer herding area, but we have more cases. Maybe the biggest one that is going on now is the one you mentioned, Katja, at the Fosen Peninsula, a little bit north from my area near the city of Trondheim, where the largest windmill industry park is to be, or is in the process of being constructed on reindeer herding lands. And I think one of the biggest problems we face is that people can't seem or have a hard time understanding how much this land and this practice means to us, and that if only one person or two persons have to leave reindeer herding as a livelihood, it's an immense impact on our culture and traditions, because we are so few. We can't afford to lose anyone. And that reindeer herding is not only an economic income, it embeds like our cultural language, knowledge, worldview, and it's our whole identity and who we are is connected to these lands and this historical practice of reindeer herding. And what we see today is, like you mentioned, the economic part. Of course, you have to go to trial, and in the Fosen case, there have been two big trials going on, and one is about actually questioning the legality of the concession that was given from the government, that is violating the right to, or the indigenous right, the Sami right in this case, to be able to decide over our own areas, and the other is about the compensation for losing the land. And being a reindeer herder today is not just being a reindeer herder. You have to be a lawyer, you have to be an archaeologist, you have to be an historian, you have to be, you have to know many things because of the pressure that you meet, and to be able to survive and to continue in this struggle, you have to use a lot of time on bureaucracy and all of the other things that comes along. And money, yes, it's one thing, but in our area we see a very severe health issue as a consequence of this pressure, because it's really hard to be in the struggle and know that it's a struggle for the future, not only for yourself but for the coming generations, and to be exposed to not only losing the land but also being stigmatized, maybe in the media or by attitudes by the majority society, and that's really the hard part. And I think that when it comes to the financial issues, I think we need to find some strategies to be able to get resources to organize, to carry out these struggles that are as independent as possible, and also think creatively and relearn maybe how to do things with less funds, because we live in a world now where we are so used to receiving grants or funding before we start to initiate our ideas or projects, because that's what we have been taught, that we have to wait for the money and then we start the work. But I think that we need to also rethink that and go through a process of trying to change a little bit about how we go about. So I hope that answered some of the question.
And you mentioned Ella, Herta Isaksen. She works. She's also a young Sami artist, but she's also working in this Naturungdom. How to explain Naturungdom in English?
Maybe the youth branch of the organization represented with Kjell there. What do you call yourself in English?
What do you say?
Friends of the Earth. Yeah, the youth wing, or or branch of the Friends of the Earth organization, environmental organization.
And right now Ella's main work is try to protect the fjord, Reapavuotna, from the Nussir mine waste. Because Norway is crazy enough to plan to dump the mining waste in the fjord. Not only Reapavuotna, but also Førdefjorden. And as like one of 5 countries in the world, they are allowing this. But I also heard that they were saying that, yeah, but we get you. We know that it's not good, but after this project, then we don't do it anymore. But for these 2, they're almost already gone through. We're finished talking about this. We're finished planning this, so this will happen, they say. And it's crazy. How can I don't know. So it is frustrating. It is a lot. It is a lot of work, but we do have to find a way to manage. So do you have any questions? Yes?
Right now we are working on the last 2 chapters. So up until now we have been doing these presentations, like live presentations in a form of radio cinema, coming together and listening, and we will continue to do that in different places during this summer and early fall. And when the last two chapters are finished, we will provide it online, hopefully through podcast or some other format for everybody to access it. So you can look us up. We have a Facebook page called I Elsa Laulas fotspår genom Sápmi. There we will give you the updates and where to find us and when the product is finished. So I hope you will follow us. Are there any more questions? Yeah. Or comments? Or comments. So I think we will wrap up now. And
so I've been writing, I don't know what I can call it, something as a comment to Ellas and the others that are trying to protect the fjord. Trying a comment for them that I'm going to read for you now in the end of our talk. And it's quite new, so I just have to concentrate a little. So it's a poem that I have called The Colonizer's Mind. Let's dig the earth, they say, for our own mirth. We may dump the waste in the water. Who cares who dies? We just cover with lies. We pretend they are the slaughter. Who cares what bleeds? You know, the money greeds. That must infect them too. It will make them nod and bow. They have no clue. Let's make them fight and spread the fright. And when they break, they will start thinking like us. Accept without blinking that they owe us. We own them. And without our support and our supplies, they're not able to survive or thrive. Dump the waste in the fjords. Pretend to make amends, because we are the landlords. Kiitos. Ja teikon veel joikasti muhtun luodi, mä monin väljen makkar luodi. And then I also I'm going to share with you a luahti, but I haven't quite chosen which one yet. Maybe the luahti. I was here on the opening of this exhibition, and then I chose to perform the luahti of the village Maadze. Maadze was really important in this struggle, as I have understood. Also the people from there, but also the plans that I made to make the dam on the river between Alta and Guardianship, it would make all the Maadze village underwater, and not only the village, but a lot of reindeer land and sacred places. And I've heard that this luahti, they yoked it a lot under that fight. And the text is saying, once they tried to put Maadze village underwater. They wanted to dam Maadze underwater. Maadze church, Maadze school, Maadze daughters, and Maadze sons. But that didn't happen. Maadze was able to live. Maadze, Maadze, chapa, Maadze, ngale, Maadze, lele, Chance won lai so Maadze pecha Maadze skola Maadze kira ku Maadze ne tai Maadze kan tai chance won lai na Namohtanu ekalakarata Maadze Maadze ali kalaka Maadze Maadze ali kalakalo hello la na
So welcome back, everybody. We're going to take up the last session of the day. And it is my greatest pleasure to introduce you to Nabil Ahmed, who's just setting up, who is an artist, a researcher, a very strong, powerful thinker, who's been working particularly into the question of environmental regulation and spatial and media practices in relation to the law and to the impact of mining in West Papua and in other indigenous contexts. And today, Nabil is here with a wonderful group, a delegation coming from West Papua. And they will all be speaking this afternoon. Seated next to Nabil is the environmental lawyer Fajar Schotten Korwan, who's coming from Holland, but she has Armenian descent. Veronica Koman is going to also speak, Indonesian lawyer who is, if I'm mistaken, tell me, but you're in sort of an exile in Australia at the moment, as you're not really very welcome in Indonesia, from what I understand. Also, we will hear from Markus Haluk from the Aumang community in West Papua, and Andrew Hickman, coming from London, closely connected with all of these issues on various levels, which you'll explain even further. And of course, we have the very privileged presence today of Mama Josefa Alomang, who is now 80 and for the majority of her life has been fighting in the struggle to protect her community, to protect the environment in which her community tries to survive. So we're ready. So without any further ado, please give a very warm welcome to Nabil Ahmed.
Thank you, Katja, and everyone else for being here and for making this happen. We've just returned from Tromsø, where we were working in the Sami house at the university on a workshop on precisely some of the issues that we will be discussing with you or sharing with you today. This was a tremendous moment in our small workshop. It was the very first time that the West Papuans met the Sami people. So we must sort of celebrate this, and I think part of that is also feel like we're doing today. I want to sort of quickly tell you about the project that through which this has happened, and it's a project that I founded and I organized called Interpret, and it's focused on chiefly two things. One is the development of a law against the crime of ecocide, and perhaps this articulates some of the themes and we've heard around sort of the destruction of the planet that we face today. In its preamble of the Rome Statute of the International Criminal Court, which remains to this today the best effort of the international community to sort of protect and to fight the impunity of the most serious of crimes, such as genocide. It says that the state parties to the statute are conscious that all peoples are united by common bonds, their culture pieced together in a shared heritage, and concerned that this delicate mosaic may be shattered at any time. It is precisely that moment of rupture and the impunity that we are working from. And in terms of the project, this isn't only a legal experiment or project as such, but it's very much focused on spatial practice and the use of design and precisely forensic architecture to gather evidence on all of these situations and towards helping to define the crime of ecocide. And the site where we are working for a number of years is the Pacific, which has been a site of colonization, nuclear colonization in the 20th century, seabed mining, and more recently, sea level rise and climate change. And we're working on a number of sites at various sort of intensities on simultaneously gathering evidence, but also looking at new forums for environmental crime, etc. This work, though, however, has developed very much around West Papua, and this is where the coalition that we've been able to bring together here is of such value. This includes Papuan, our respected Papuan elders, Indonesian human rights lawyers, international lawyers, but also the NGO community, and you could say where I come from, which at the intersection of, let's say, art and architecture. So I think this is an example of a kind of interdisciplinary sort of coalition that is required in order to fight environmental crime and the crime of ecocide. So Grasberg Mine is for all of us here concerned from our group, has been sort of the focus of our fight, because it sits at the heart of the longest running conflict and self-determination movement in the Pacific in West Papua. Here, what we see at the same time, though, that this mine, Grasberg, which we will speak about, is not alone, right? What you see in red, the other dots, are other mines in the Pacific and in the Asia Pacific that are part of that are conflict zones. So the project at the same time sort of considers the Pacific also as a site of conflict that only isn't necessarily organized between and around nation states, but also between local people, indigenous groups, etc. Grasberg mine, which is the world's biggest gold and copper mine that sits at the Papuan Highlands, sits at the heart of the Amungme and the Comoro territory. And we have here today, Mama Yousef Alomang, as you will hear later, has been one of the people that have been fighting this mine all her life and has been internationally recognized for her efforts. But in terms of the investigative work that my collaborators and I have done over the past few years is to understand and produce scientific evidence and spatial evidence which can stand up in court and other international forums, which is involved using very specific sort of remote sensing and satellite sort of imagery analysis to track the contamination over the life of the mine's life. Almost gathering ecological evidence, if you like. This shows, for instance, in red, the destruction of the rainforest that has been caused from the tailing, the toxic waste being dumped into the river. Indonesia also happens to be one of those 5 countries where mine waste is actually illegal to be dumped into the waters. So we asked the question, if under national law this is legal, you know, where do we take this fight? An image of the tailing from further upstream in the river. The research also included gathering evidence, again using another set of satellite technologies that using Landsat imagery that I've worked with colleagues at NASA and various other institutions in the United States to track how the contamination has been sort of seeping and shifting, moving towards the Arafura Sea, which is sort of the sea that sits between Australia and West Papua. And how, in fact, this tailing is sort of absolutely changing the dynamics of the estuaries and the ecologies and so on, which are also places where the people live. They're not empty sites as such. There is an entanglement of political violence and environmental violence, and West Papua is an exemplary case of this double sort of impunity, right? That very site of the mining operation area that I showed you, the mine that is owned by Freeport, one of the largest sort of mining companies in the planet, with mines all over the world. Their sort of areas and the mining concession areas are protected by the Indonesian armed forces. In this image, this analysis, we can see that the very sites of the concession area and where the coal and the copper are being transported from the port to destinations in Europe, for example, and Spain in particular, are guarded by the Indonesian military forces. This is absolutely not a coincidence that they are there. This is an image, for instance, another sort of investigation work that we did, which looked at how in the 1970s the Indonesian military were carrying out, in response to the resistance of Papuans against their you know, how their land was taken over, the Indonesian military conducted sort of years of military violence, what we could call crimes against humanity. This shows, demonstrates, for instance, based on data that has been gathered by Asian Human Rights Council in the early in 2013-14, of military campaigns called Operasi Kikis that was carried out in the 70s, specifically between 1977 and 78, precisely in the land where Mama Yosefa and Marcus Haluk are from. So there is an entanglement between the forces of capitalism and the forces of powerful states. And if we remember Walter Benjamin, you know, these are manifest through violence and really by no other means. And there will be pushback from these powerful states at international forums. I want to sort of end with this image of an exhibition that and side events that I was part of, that was organized with Polly Higgins, the lawyer that is trying to push for ecocide to be introduced into the Rome Statute, but also with Baltasar Garzón's, the Spanish Jurists Foundation for Human Rights, and also with the International Lawyers for West Papua. So this is important that we sort of speak to you together from this stage. This is a mock-up of the exhibition that we were going to present at the United Nations annual meeting of the International Criminal Court, the forum where we want to take this, because this is no less than international crime. That was the exhibition, which was also supported by the government of Vanuatu, who are friends of the Papuan people as fellow Melanesians. That was blocked by the Indonesian state. So this exhibition never took place. So we are here, and we will continue elsewhere. So I just wanted to sort of give you a quick introduction into the various sort of methods and approaches and the kind of coalition building and institution building that we're trying to do together. And there are many other actors that are not here today, obviously, but we're very glad that it was made possible through the great generosity of Oka and this exhibition, in the frame of this exhibition, and for the struggle of the Sami people's rights as well, that we could use this as another sort of place where we can continue to do the work that we're doing, but also exchange solidarity amongst not only the Sami and the Papuans, but all of us here. So I want to hand over to Fajar Hussein Korwa, who's one of the founders of the International Lawyers for West Papua, based in the Netherlands, to tell you a little bit more precisely about how this is not only a question of indigenous rights and so on, but the responsibility of the international community, which has failed the Papuan people.
Yeah. Thank you, Nabil. Selamat malam, good afternoon, all present here today. Earlier we heard before that given a name by your parents is very precious and also very important. My Papuan father gave me the name Fajar, and Fajar means the morning sun rising, literally, and more figuratively, a new future. I am a lawyer and the chair of the Board of International Lawyers for West Papua in the Netherlands. And that's a network of legal professionals and academics with the aim to obtain a new future in which the indigenous people of West Papua can free and fully exercise their right to self-determination. I feel very privileged to be here, given the opportunity by Oka to bring out the story of the people of West Papua. Since foreign journalists are practically banned to enter West Papua. I feel grateful that we are here given the opportunity to raise awareness about the problems that the Papuan people face already more than half a century and still are today. And the root of these problems is in fact the biggest gold and copper mine of the world, located in West Papua and in the hands of Freeport-McMoRan, a US-owned company. I would like to take you back in history. West Papua was a Dutch colony for more than 3 centuries. In 1945, the Republic of Indonesia was proclaimed, but West Papua was left out of that. Until 1960, West Papua was still a separate colony, and the Dutch agreed to grant independence to West Papua. A new Genie Council was established, and on December 1st, a new national anthem was composed and a national flag, Fajar Bintang, Morning Star, was designed. But they took too long. Under great pressure of the United States, the Kingdom of the Netherlands was forced to sign a treaty, the New York Agreement with Indonesia. And West Papua was transferred firstly to the United Nations Temporary Administration, and from there, in 1963, Indonesia already invaded West Papua. The New York Agreement legally required Indonesia to hold an act of self-determination in accordance with international standards. And that meant a free vote based on universal adult suffrage. But in that period, it was already known that West Papua had these rich natural resources. From 1963 until 1969, Indonesia took control and was oppressing the people. The actual referendum that took place was a sham. Only 1,025 Papuans, representing 800,000 Papuans at that time, were intimidated to vote in favor for integration. So the referendum in 1969 was not held according to international standards. It was not an act of free choice. It was an act of no choice. And the reason is clear, because it was already in 1967, 2 years before the referendum that took place, when Indonesia, not even having the authority to do so, signed the contract with Freeport McMoran and handed over the sacred land of the Amungme people of Mama Josefa, here present today. The Amungme people do not benefit from these profits. Alone in 2017, the revenues Freeport McMoran paid to the Indonesian government were for taxes alone, were more than 756 million US dollars. Since at this very moment, negotiations are going on for renewing the contracts between Freeport McMoran and the Indonesian government, it is important that the call of the Amungme people and the West Papuan indigenous people for a legal and free exercise of their right to self-determination is heard. That is the reason why today the story of Mama Josefa must be told. Thank you.
Mama berdiri, saya terjemahkannya duduk. Tapi Mama bicaranya sama berdiri, saya terjemahkan duduk. Berdiri biar lebih kuat.
Aye. Wa. Ingat tempat ini saya baru datang. Terima kasih untuk diundang saya.
Thank you for inviting me here.
Saya tidak akan balas. Tuhan akan balas.
I may not be able to reply this kindness, but God will surely give it back to you.
Ulemenget dalam dengan emoran ko lejamnin. Haya binyaram.
In the name of God, I say thank you.
Now, memang kami negal. Amung cha negal. Na amungin.
Sorry, this is like three-way interpretation here. I am the owner of the gold. I am the owner of the land, but I lost it all.
Teng kwang meng pang termia. Enong kwang ne binya. Nakal kalapa ne kal amung kal eo kalapa tere.
The soil is my body. The soil is our body.
Memang kami pakabinya inyakan namin nakatere. Perempuan saja duduk di atas memang kami.
The mountain Grasberg is a female.
Inang kakanebinya, ningo kong kakabinya, mayong kakaneter. Kepala itu manusia yang berada di atas Nemangkawi, perempuan, bukan laki-laki.
The soil is a female. The Nemangkawi mountain is the head, and it's all female, not male.
Awam nakapakabinya ulpia pangatat. Timur itu tangan kiri, kanan itu ulji pangatat.
So all the while the mountain is the head, but the right hand goes to Papua New Guinea, and the left hand goes all the way to across West Papua.
No, pakabinya kumanekal kung pangatat. Kaki itu laut.
The lakes are the sea are the lakes.
Mata itu untuk lihat.
Eyes are used to see.
Taruh mulut untuk bicara.
A mouth is for speaking.
Bisa pikir, bisa dadar, bisa selesaikan soal.
When you can think, then you can solve problems.
Indonesia ya, Amerika ya, Belanda ya, kau datang izin sama siapa? Tidak tahu.
In Indonesia and the US, when you came first into West Papua, when and who did you get the permission from?
Amerika ya, Belanda ya, muminya melihat itu seperti ini, kami mayak taring.
America and the Dutch, you just came here without any permission and you just been taking everything.
Kalau tekal kau taring bahasa apa yang pakai untuk bicara dengan yang punya orang?
If you say that you've been talking to us, then what language did you use?
Sampai sekarang saya sudah dihabis. Sudah masuk di sum-sum sampai di laut dasar.
The exploitation is so bad that it actually feels like all my brain and like until my heart is all gone.
Sampai dong ngepabatak. Naka ngepabatak. Nela uya pabatak. Ampine wade mu yang nanu ngopok sa kabatak. Pero saya sudah hancur.
They took away all the gold, the copper, the the uranium, everything. They took away everything.
Bukan taruh Nemangkawi itu bukan uang.
Nemangkawi mountain is not money.
Bukan barang dipakai.
It's not just something that you use.
Harus teliti baik-baik. Tolong.
It should be taken care of very carefully.
Kami taruh untuk bicara ini bicara untuk apa? Kal juter kal.
If we so what should we be fighting for? Because everything is finished.
Kal juter kal ayat kal pangameng people akan ayah pemerintah, na jobar pemerintah, people akan nanin kalaruo. Na motom itu karena na orang korban.
This is why I came here to tell you the story, because all of this time I've been fighting alone with my people. This is why I'm telling you now.
50 tahun untuk melihat saya disiksa dunia.
50 years since 50 years ago, I've been tortured. She's been arrested 18 times.
Mata sudah habis, sudah kabur lihat. Ini bukti.
My eyes are the evidence. It's they're damaged.
Tangan saya sudah diputus. Saya masuk di kontainer. Perusahaan punya kontainer. Selama 18 kali.
I was incarcerated it's so many times into police station and also inside the container.
Berapa sekian ribu orang bisa hilang dengan kontinat?
How many thousands of people could be vanished when they were thrown away when they're still inside the container?
Saya bisa hilang dengan buang di laut, di karung.
I could have gone along with my friends when I was thrown away to the sea in container.
Permainan negara Republik Indonesia dengan permainan Freeport McMoran punya. Penderitaan saya sudah rasa sekian tahun.
This is the game.
50 tahun.
This is the game played by the Indonesian Republic and US through their Freeport McMoran.
Bagaimana untuk bertanggung jawab hal ini? Saya bekerja dengan manusia. Saya tidak mau bekerja dengan senjata.
I work with people. I don't work with weapons.
Saya tidak mau melihat untuk dengan sikap. Saya harus bicara seperti hati dengan hati.
I don't want to speak with weapons. I don't want to speak with rude words. I speak to you as a human speaking to another human being.
Saya juga sudah penderitaan sekarang sudah tua. Terima kasih untuk undang saya dari
I am old now, so thank you for inviting me, Okat, for me to come here and speak.
Ini penderitaan saya. Sekarang gunung habis, air habis, manusia habis. Jadi bagaimana caranya jangka panjang, bagaimana caranya jangka pendek untuk dengan negara ini.
This is my suffering. Wait a second. Yeah, so the mountain is gone, the water is gone, the humans are gone. So what can we do now?
Minta tolong untuk saya sampaikan begini, apa yang saya rasa saya sudah buka bicara di sini sekarang.
So please help me what I want to say. I have told you about that, so yeah. Okay. How to start this?
You're going to speak next, right?
Yeah.
It's ready.
Okay. So, human dignity. Human dignity is actually, it's the whole point of we having human rights. But like you see, this is like this young man were just walking and then suddenly the security forces saw them, hey, you must be separatists. So they were treated that way. And while this, I'm not gonna bore you with all the cases, but this is just like, so you have the picture of how severe the situation is. So 4 young schoolboys were killed, massacred by the Indonesian army just because some little dispute about headlights. This is in late 2014. Like someone didn't turn on the headlights and then it escalated. That and the 8 West Papuan mothers got holes in their palms. It's because they were shouting, don't shoot, don't shoot. But they kept getting shot. And those schoolboys actually were shot at the back, meaning they were running away at the time they were shot. So this treatment is because of the rooted racism. It's not just about like some indigenous rights, but it's indigenous rights. There's no recognition of indigenous rights plus the rooted racism. Most Indonesians are from Malay ethnicity, but they are clearly not Malays, right? They're Melanesian, but they're seen as like because they're black, so they don't have the same rights. And yeah, the treatment like this, that this could be seen like among Indonesian citizens. They usually like pinch their nose like smelly, and if 4 security forces who have access to guns, then they would just like be killed just for the smallest things. It's always started, the extrajudicial killings always started by like simple trivial things. Dispute over cigarettes, over like 3 young males who were drunk and then suddenly they got shot. And all the cases that I mentioned just now, it happens in just these past 3 months. And sorry, it's while this picture this is 2nd May 2016. On that day, 2,016 West Papuans were arrested in just one day. And in 2016 alone, 5,106 West Papuans were arrested in just 1 year alone, all for peaceful demonstrations, demanding their right to self-determination. So the racism that they also cannot speak, like when they deliver letter of notification under domestic law to be able to protest, then most of them will get rejected. When they are given approved, it's not actually like permit, but just notification. But somehow for West Papuan, they are always treated special, right? So like they will get all arrested, and they were deliberately like asked to take off their shirts. But what I admire the most, like this is another protest that ended up in all of them were arrested, but they were not tear gas, but water cannon. So they were dancing to it. I was there. I took that photo. So I was like, I just clapped. I didn't care anymore what the police gonna see me, because like as a lawyer advocate, I should just like stood by and like, you know, but I just couldn't help it. It's just like they were dancing. That's how resilient they are. And like as far as I know, not a single West Papuan who don't know it's always either your family or at least your acquaintance have been killed or at least tortured by Indonesian security forces. Everyone. Like, but they're still fighting until now. Like, look, Mama Josefa is so like the resilience is really like inspiring. And yeah, next. So this is my last point. But so in the end of 2016, some Indonesian people, including me, declared our support to self-determination of West Papuan people. And so the one who like with this morning star face, that's an Indonesian, not West Papuan. And for that identity, their morning star flag, it is subject to 15 years in prison for treason law. But so yeah, we are up for it. It's actually like when you say that be careful of what you have as tattoo, because one day you might regret it. This is Indonesia. The philosophy is that Indonesia running through my veins. I was that nationalistic. It's because like, let alone you here in Scandinavia, you haven't heard about West Papua. Even my fellow Indonesians, they don't know what's happening in West Papua. The censorship system really works. No international journalist, the local journalist was beaten up just one day after World Press Freedom Day, several months ago. So like what's happening stays inside West Papua. And lastly, this is like when we hold, by we I mean the Indonesians Alliance hold demonstrations. We always, at one point, Indonesians face to face with the West Papuans present, and Indonesians would kneel before the West Papuans. We apologize for our ancestors' fault. So yeah, so we apologize for on behalf of our ancestors. We apologize to the ancestors of West Papuan people. And there we make a pledge to do like what we can to prevent these ongoing massacres. It's basically slow motion genocide. Thank you.
Ya, wah. Kinauna kamulongo yep mom. Tabea. Wah. Itu sapaan saya.
That's
Dari kampung kami.
greeting from
Untuk
my
Anda
village, Dani village.
Yang artinya selamat bertemu, sukacita dan damai.
It means
kita di tempat ini.
It's nice to meet you and happiness among us all. Oh.
Ya, kita sudah dengar apa yang Mama sampaikan, apa yang Nabil dan Fajar sudah sampaikan dan Vero.
We have heard what the other presenters spoke about.
Saya sebagai generasi muda, anak dari Mama dan semua yang hadir ini, yang muda, kami hanya punya dua solusi.
I, as a young generation and Mama's child, we have offered two solutions.
Anda bisa lihat ini data di mana kami orang West Papua, orang asli West Papua dari tahun ke tahun terus menjadi minoritas dan terus sedang menuju kepada genocide.
The data shows that we West Papuans each year we gradually depopulate.
Ya, tahun 1987, tahun 1971 kami orang Papua 887.000 dan Indonesia 36.000, tapi hari ini orang Papua 1.900.000 atau 2 juta dan orang Indonesia 3 juta lebih atau hampir 4 juta.
Like you can see in 71, we were 800,000-ish and Indonesians were only 36,000. But right now, in 2030, West Papuans will be only 2 million and the Indonesians will be 13 million.
Diproyeksikan 2030 kami orang Papua 2.500.000 atau 2.300.000 dan Indonesia itu sudah 13 juta.
Yeah, that's actually what I just said, sorry. Yeah,
proyeksi.
Iya, tadi saya salah sebut.
Oke, sudah ya. Nah, pertanyaannya kalau Amerika, United Kingdom, Uni Eropa, Australia, kalau mereka butuh emas, kekayaan yang kami miliki, beritahu kami.
If the US, the UK and all the other countries want our gold, just ask us.
Karena kalau mereka butuh emas, kami akan berikan kepada mereka.
Because if they need gold, we will give them.
Tapi mereka harus tahu diri, mereka harus sadar bahwa ada manusia di tempat itu.
But they have to realize that there are humans on top of all the minerals.
Nah, karena itu setelah 50 tahun kami refleksikan bahwa kehadiran Freeport, kehadiran pemerintah Indonesia di West Papua tidak menjamin eksistensi masa depan kami orang West Papua.
So after 50 years, we can fairly reflect and say that there is no hope that West Papua under Indonesian rule and also Freeport existence.
Karena itu kami orang Papua pertama-tama harus unity, bersatu.
So first of all, West Papuan people have to unite as one.
Karena itu kami orang Papua yang ada di luar negeri yang sudah mengungsi dari tahun 50, 60, 70 sampai hari ini, orang Papua yang ada di hutan rimba yang disebut Tentara Pembebasan Nasional, yang kami yang ada di sipil sudah bersatu.
And right now we are already unified from the exiles, the refugees and exiles outside the country, and civilians, West Papua inside the country, and the freedom fighters in the jungle. We are all now unified.
Dan karena itu kami sudah bersatu dalam United Liberation Movement for West Papua, dan saat ini untuk selamatkan orang Papua sebelum dibunuh habis, sedang menuju ke Melanesia. Bergabung dengan Papua New Guinea, bergabung dengan Vanuatu, bergabung dengan Fiji, bergabung dengan Solomon Island.
We are now united under the United Liberation Movement for West Papua, and we are now heading towards our brothers and sisters in Melanesia, in Pacific, along with Vanuatu, Solomon, and Fiji, etc. Papua New Guinea.
Itu salah satu solusi yang mungkin untuk selamatkan Mama punya harapan hidup di masa yang akan datang.
That is one solution on how to save our own population.
Saya akan memutar lagu 1-2 yang dimana itu kami ada di sini itu minta dukungan doa. Minta dukungan doa kepada masyarakat adat di sini yang tadi kita sebut yang mereka juga hampir terancam. Masyarakat yang hadir dari teman-teman dari Taiwan, dari Maori yang tadi bicara, dari mana-mana. Minta dukungan bersama, mari kita bersatu.
I will show you a couple of short videos, but hereby I will ask for your solidarity from as Indigenous peoples, from Sami people, from the Taiwanese, and from the Maori. So we all need, as Indigenous people, we need to unify and fight this together.
Very big, but maybe.
Oke, lagu ini,
this song,
ini kami juga tidak kenal mereka, tapi ini semua orang-orang dari United Kingdom yang kita menyanyi.
We actually don't know these people personally, but these are people from the UK.
Ini bahasa saya, bahasa Wamena, bahasa West Papua.
This is my language. This is from Wamena, and West Papua has more than 200 tribes.
Dan artinya kami datang di tempat ini minta dukungan mulut, suara, minta dukungan tangan.
That's why we come here to ask for your solidarity, your in form of hands, in form of your prayers.
Untuk selamatkan orang asli Papua yang sedang menuju kepada
to save West Papuan people who are heading towards the extinction.
Maka kita perlu pikirkan secara bersama. Kalau Freeport,
so we should think together of how.
Pertama perlu investigasi secara menyeluruh tentang kejahatan Freeport yang dilakukan selama 50 tahun.
First, we need thorough investigation of the crimes committed by Freeport throughout these 50 years.
Apakah kita bisa minta United Nations yang membidangi atau bidang yang bicara soal investigasi untuk cek tentang genocide, tentang ekosida yang terjadi di West Papua.
Can we ask for the related UN bodies to investigate the genocide and ecocide happening in West Papua?
Di area Freeport.
In specifically in Freeport area.
Karena Mama Yosefa pernah menggugat itu sampai di Amerika.
Because Mama Yosefa filed a lawsuit before in the US.
Tapi sampai saat ini mengamban.
But until now it's nowhere.
Nah karena itu mungkin itu satu. Kedua, kita juga minta bagaimana tim investigasi independen untuk mendorong adanya indikasi genosida kepada orang asli Papua.
And secondly, an investigation towards the act of genocide towards West Papuan people as a whole.
Saya pikir mungkin itu yang bisa kita pikirkan secara bersama dan saya harapan bisa saling merespon. Kira-kira seperti apa ketika kita melihat ini.
That's what I get to say, and hopefully we can think together of how we could solve this.
Terima kasih.
Thank you.
So thank you very much to Nabil, to Marcus, to Veronica for her valiant interpretation. Not very easy, I know. Mama Yosefa, thank you very much. And of course, Fajra and Andrew, all part of this very important moment. We have a little surprise just to stretch your patience 10 minutes more, we promise. But the group of artists from different indigenous communities in Taiwan have asked if they could offer a special performance in honor of Mama Yosefa. So I would like to invite Byung Isma Hassan, who is a Bunun curator, just graduated from Goldsmith, just curated the first Indigenous Taiwanese exhibition in London, just finished now, and he will introduce this performance.
Unina Mihumi-san, nanangay tupundo Byung Isma Hassan, tengisha takanoa namasha tagaujin to Taiwan. On the behalf of Taiwanese indigenous people, we belong to Dongmon Takanoa Lishin Takluk community from 4 different communities. We would like to present our performance which dedicate to Mama Yosefa's struggle of local resistance against the destruction caused by the Freeport McMorrain's grassroots mine in Papua. An ancient spirit concealed beyond religion, a traditional contrast in contradiction with contemporary life. I am needed by my mind. I am young, but I have to behave. I have to be grave, beloved spirit of root and ancestor. Please keep teaching me to understand the mystery of everything. Please give me the power to remove all the bad karma. Please lead me to preserve my kind of spirit. Empower me to bless others. Endlessly, please allow us to send you back to your spiritual world.
Thank you very much, Dong Dong.
Thank you for thank you for opening my bound. I know that I've been bound before and threw into a container, but now that you've released me, I thank you so much for this. Sorry, this is, all of the West Papuan land and its people have been bound, and you have released all of us. Thank you. Thank you. I have died before, but you've put me back to life. They did bind my hands, my arms, my legs, but now that you've released me, thank you so much for everything. Thank you so much. I cannot reply you back with this, but God will do it for me.
We don't have a special gift. Dong Dong is going to dedicate the mouth herb to Mama, made by Dong Dong.
Thank you. And so the traditional woven bag called noken, it's if West Papuans do not give it to like just any random people, it's for someone special. And what's it means like West Papuans put their hope inside the bag. So actually, West Papua are giving the Taiwanese their hope.
Yes. For the final conclusion, Dong Dong would like to say that we have been migrated between the continuous range of mountains and rivers, but we were present in the small land of indigenous community in Taiwan. We have been existed with the spirituality of sky and land, but we were restricted by the scripture of Bible. To return our land to me, to return our languages to me, to return Gaia to me. Let me sing naturally the 1,000 years of ritual song. Let me coexist within the spirituality of my ancestor. Thank you. Unena mihumisa.
Before concluding, I think this is an opportunity perhaps if there are any questions from the audience, any more dialogue that you'd like to have with Mama Josefa, with Marcus, with Nabil, with Veronica. Any questions, please? Well, in that case, I think we can draw today's symposium to a close. And I would just like to thank every participant today for this very wonderful set of conversations. And thank you all for your great patience in staying with us throughout the whole day. Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mama. Thank you, everybody.